Welcome back to the channel. We are back out in the garage. It's been quite a while, but it's time to get some stuff done on the Miata. Today we will be taking the downpipe off of the turbo. We had some cracking issues this year with the stainless, just getting hot and then cooling. It can't really take that expansion and contracting too many times with a turbo like that, especially with some thin material that I have on there right now. So we're gonna pull it out, take a look at it, see what's going on with it, where the cracking is, where the leak is, and try and get that patched up today. So without further ado, we will get into the work today. We're gonna lift the car up, loosen up the V-band down on the mid pipe, and pull out the entire downpipe. It is a two-piece downpipe. We're gonna pull out all of it and take a look at the entire thing. So I'll give you guys a quick look at what we're looking at doing here. There's 5 bolts on the back of the turbo that hold the downpipe to the turbo. And then we'll remove this gasket as well, set it up to the side so that doesn't get damaged. Then we will loosen up this bolt right here on this first V-band, and then we'll crawl underneath the car and loosen up the V-band down towards the mid-pipe, and also take out my AFR sensor down there that is right before that second V-band. Seen better days. So has this. Oh yeah, that seems like that flex pipe in there is shot. Like you can see the exhaust discoloration or like black on here. If you'll be able to see that, like exhaust gases are coming through here. That flex pipe is shot. Yeah. I'm gonna need a new one. Shucks, that might not be a today fix then, I might have to order one. But it's necessary. Oh yeah, I can see through that, it's destroyed. Maybe I'll see if I can cut some of this out of here so we can separate that and take a better look at that. Let's set this over on our metal surgery table here and take a look at some of this damage. So this is where it was cracking. This is where it was cracking at one of the events. It also cracked across the top here. And I believe there was something else farther down, but I can't recall exactly where it was. But yeah, we're gonna take this exhaust wrap that's left here off of the bottom portion and see if there's any cracking in here as well. That does not look super great on that wrap. The bottom section looks fine, so we shouldn't have to mess with anything there. I think it's just the flex pipe in the middle is just not any good anymore. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take off this V-band, take this top portion off. We don't need this attached while we're working on this. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut on both sides of this flex pipe and get that out of there. This one was not very great condition either, the upper portion. I may look at trying to cut off the entire piece here and redo the elbow and just make it one solid elbow rather than having all these pie cuts. But the pie cuts down here didn't actually crack. It was up on this thin material from the flange. Maybe I'll just have to redo this top portion of this elbow. Before we go ahead and cut this, I do need to mark this so I know the direction in which this needs to go back together, because it's got a kind of a curve up and a curve back. So we don't want that to be out of place. So maybe we'll look at this side, it's the easiest to get to, and put a nice solid mark right there and just straight across on the bottom portion of that. So just a straight line across. So then we'll have a better chance of lining this back up when we get a new pipe in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll take another look. That first bellow in there, yeah, you can kind of see it. It's completely tore apart all the way around. talk about exhaust leak. That is not good. Like, yeah. There was probably flames shooting out of here when I would be on rev limiter in the corners, which isn't good either, because if flames are shooting out, that's right by where my feed line is for the oil. That's not good. Now that we have this flex pipe out, and this is the culprit of our exhaust leak, that is the reason why the AFR gauge is jumping all over the place and giving us bad readings. So we are going to get this thing replaced. I will have to order that. I believe I got this one on Amazon. It wasn't real expensive. Maybe I'll look into getting a little bit better one. If we take a look at the lower portion of the downpipe here, where the wideband bung is welded in, this section has zero cracking through the whole thing, so this will not require any maintenance or touch-up welding. So we can just set this aside. We'll clean up where it was welded there when we have the other flex pipe and we get ready to actually weld it. So then that will actually add a little bit of heat on the material before we weld it. So we'll set that off to the side and wait until we get another flex pipe. This as well, right above where the flex pipe was, the welds are all intact. There's no cracking, so we don't have to worry about this piece either. Set that off to the side. And if we go to the elbow that goes off of the turbo, this is where it was cracked on the flange, and then I welded it on the inside as well to add some material so that it wouldn't crack again. But I am not going to leave it like that. I believe I am going to just cut this whole thing off of the flange and potentially build like a new elbow here, or just the end, or like the first inch is where it's thinner material. I think that's like 16 gauge and the rest of it is 14. So that's going to be a little bit of a project to get that built out because it's an odd shape, but I should be able to do it. I'll maybe take a couple of 2.5 inch pieces and kind of piece it together and build a taper on that, or maybe I can just build an entire elbow or like a new piece rather than having all these pie cuts up here. We'll see. So maybe I can do something off of here where I can just cut like right here or something and just go straight down, and maybe cut a couple of 90 pieces off of this 180 loop. Use something. Otherwise, maybe I can do a piece of 90 off of this where it's a sharper curve back. Where did I put it? If we try and match that angle, I actually do have to come quite a ways back. I could maybe make something off of a cut from this one. We'll see. We'll pull out a couple and just have it ready and available. Alright, so basically what we got going on here, I traced this current downpipe elbow onto the piece of steel just to get an idea. You can kind of see that right there in some blue paint marker. Not very great because I'm tracing around weld and stuff, but I'm just going to try and match a section of this 90-degree piece of pipe to this, which it doesn't really match the painted like marks from this, but when you lay it on the top, it does. But I did kind of trace a little bit farther than I needed to. So what we're gonna try and do is match this pretty close, or eyeball that close anyways, and then test fit it to this piece after we got this one cut. So that's what we'll do right now, is just get this cut, make the first cut up here, size it out again, make the second cut, and then try and pair it up without cutting this apart. And then if it seems like it's gonna be pretty close, then we'll cut this out the flange and test fit that to try and match the same length of this first elbow. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut the pipe off of the flange and clean this flange up quite a bit because it's not very pretty, and then start trying to mold the tube into the position it needs to be and like the size, because it's pinched down into like 1.5 inches rather than a 2-inch pipe up on top. And there you have it. Now we just gotta get this weld stuff cleaned out from the inside and get this all prepped so that we can start piecing together the new pipe. We're gonna throw one tack up on the top so we can try and measure and piece together the lower portion of this. One little tack up top. Just like that. Two little tacks just to hold that on there. Boom. Now what we gotta do is get something that's gonna close off the bottom section here. Go maybe 1.25 inch distance here on the bottom. So I need a little bit more material than I'm thinking left, because I'm gonna squish this down and shape it more into a U shape than a circle, which I should maybe just do that right away and just hammer it a little flat to match this. And I'll kind of shape it on this side of the flange first. Just like that. I don't know if you can really see that. It's almost perfect. So now I just have to mark that at about the height that I need. I do want to overlap this just a smidge. So we'll go maybe like right here. Maybe about here. All right. So I kind of took a little bit of extra time and just laid this piece that I cut incorrectly, unfortunately, laid it over top of this and kind of extended where I needed it to be, to where I'm just cutting one time rather than cutting a bunch of notches and stuff. I'll be able to cut part of the way around. I'll have to readjust and come from the other side and then cut this side and maybe just kind of notch it a little and break it out to where I'll have hopefully the right piece from one cut. I'll have to get in there with a die grinder and clean out some of the rest of it after I have it pounded in place. That should work fairly well. Stack it up here as well. All right, so I got this pounded into place. It's not like super pretty, but it at least closes the bottom and it makes it one whole piece down there. And then the inside, like I was saying, like right in here, I'm gonna have to die grind that out so it opens it up a lot more. It'll flow better that way, but we'll do that after we get it all tacked and welded down here. Reach in there with a die grinder and kind of scoop out that extra metal. There's a couple of little gaps here up towards the top that I will be welding shut. I might be able to get in there with a chisel and kind of tap that out because it's in between tacks and try and shape that more towards the corner. We'll see here if it'll work. I might be able to flatten out these in here as well and then weld the inside. So it's not only welded the outside, then the inside as well. So it's double strength. So we got this kind of tacked up here. Gaps are all closed in. It didn't turn out too bad. Yes, it's not gonna be pretty, but it's gonna probably hold. I'm saying probably because I'm not entirely sure, but one solid tube up here is gonna be stronger than a bunch of pie cuts, especially when you add in vibration, impact, all that kind of stuff. There'll just be this weld around the flange on the outside and on the inside to help hold that all together. Hopefully it's gonna be stronger. I'm really, fingers crossed it will be. But if you look at side by side, I will need to add some length to it. But side by side, if you like match it together, it's actually pretty dang close. We'll take a little break. Let this cool down, get a little fresh air moving in here. So you don't really want to breathe this too much. Just been kind of controlling my breathing, but nice and toasty. It's all welded up. Not super pretty. It's not TIG welding or anything, but downpipe version 3. Hopefully third time is the charm, and this will hold up better than the other one. Just now, a couple of days later, we have a new flex pipe that's going to be replacing this one. It's a little bit smaller around, a little bit shorter of bellows, but it should hopefully hold up a little bit better than this one. Now I got the elbow off the flange welded on here. I need to just match the size to the old one and then weld the V-band on the bottom. Then we can move on to welding the flex pipe into the other portion of these two pieces. We've got the downpipe back together. We got the flex pipe in here. The flux core welds turned out way better than the rest of these welds. These were done last year with stainless wire. And then this is a flux core wire which sits way flatter on here and looks way better than the rest of the welds. Then we got the elbow welded up and everything's all set here as well. I got the inside little lip die ground out, so that shouldn't be an issue. Now that those two pieces are all set, ready to go, I sprayed a little bit of copper coat sealer around the V-band flanges because I had a little bit of issues with those leaking. I couldn't get those tight enough to seal all the way. So we'll just add a little bit of that spray in there. Maybe that'll help. And then also on the elbow here, and copper coated the gasket for the turbo flange as well. So we'll let that kind of cure a little bit, dry just a smidge, and then we'll throw that into the car. We've got it all welded up. We got it in here. I just have to snug down the V-band clamps, and then we should be able to drop it on the ground and give it a start. We'll try and turn it over real quick. I haven't started this in like a month and a half. Hopefully the battery's not dead. It's been a little chilly out, so yeah, we'll give it a try. Lighting is not super great in here. Fuel pump's running. The AFR gauge will read very rich for startup because warm-up enrichment will come on. But yeah, we'll crank it over. We'll hop out and take a look. Well, that's a little bit of a bummer. That gasket up on the turbo flange will need to be replaced. I've used that probably 3 times. I've taken that out on and off and then just kept sticking that same gasket in there. It is not sealing all the way around the flange, so unfortunately we will have to take that back out, but we're going to leave the lower portion bolted together with the V-bands and only disconnect it from right up here on the turbo, and then stick a new gasket in there at a later date. But for now, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.